This is 1360 AM WNJC, Washington Township, Philadelphia. Philadelphia's Renaissance radio station. Brought to you from Forsyth Broadcasting. Or listen to us at WNJC1360.com.
Ready? Okay. Is that mine? Nope.
It's empty in the valley of your heart. The sun, it rises slowly as you walk away from all the fears and all the faults you've left behind. The harvest left no food for you to eat. You cannibal, you eat eater, you see. But I have seen the same, I know the shame in your defeat. But I will hold on hope, and I won't let you choke on the noose around your neck. And I'll find strength in pain, and I will change my ways. I'll know my name as it's called again.
Okay, so just when I'm ready, just press the one.
You take what is yours and I'll take mine. Now let me have the...
Good morning and welcome to the Kevin Storm Show. Today we'll be meeting Dr. Tuttle, author of The World Peace Diet, Eating for Spiritual Health and Social Harmony. Hi, can you introduce yourself?
Oh, yes. Hi, Kevin. This is Will Tuttle, and it's great to be on your show. It's really an honor to be on your show. I think it's fabulous what you're doing to help bring the vegan message to people and to get started on it at such a young age. So thanks for having me with you.
Okay, it's an honor to have you on the show as well. So where are you today?
I'm in Northern California. Right now, I'm just about 2 hours north of San Francisco here, so it's only about 9 o'clock in the morning.
Okay. In today's Animal Rights Activist Society, who inspires you?
Oh, actually, I'm inspired a lot by the people who are out in the trenches, in a sense, doing the work of spreading the vegan message, just bringing the message to the world in a variety of ways. You know, people like you, there's so many people that have blogs and have writing articles on the internet, who are starting vegan businesses, vegan restaurants, who are working to spread the message, handing out pamphlets. I mean, I think to me it's really the grassroots movement that is the great inspiration to me. I mean, I see lots of people just working, rolling up their sleeves and doing the work to help raise consciousness on this planet for what we're doing to animals and how it affects us so negatively. There's some sort of higher profile people that I find very inspiring. You know, people like Philip Wallen in Australia, who's giving away all of his money to help spread the vegan message. You know, and there's a lot of great people, really. But I can't hate to single out just any one person because really, I think fundamentally it's a grassroots approach, and no one can really say who's doing the most important thing. What needs everybody to do what they can do. That's your turn.
Could you give some highlights of last week's event?
You mean last weekend?
Yes.
I guess you're referring to the event we put on here in San Francisco. It was a 3-day vegan retreat, and actually it was at the Sivananda Yoga Center. And for me, I think, to me, it's a highlight whenever you have people who just come. Some people drove all the way up from Los Angeles, from Sacramento, and other places to to bring the spiritual dimension in. And this is a yoga studio, so there was quite an emphasis on purifying the mind and developing a heart of compassion. And to me, when people who are on the spiritual path who are trying to purify their minds and develop a more compassionate heart and be more forgiving and loving and kind and caring, and they're still eating meat and dairy products and eggs, they're exposed to such a huge disconnect. So for me, and that's usually how it is. Most of the meditation centers and churches and temples and whatever, they worship God, or they try to live a better life, and then they go and eat steak and burgers and French fries and hot dogs and fish and cheese and so forth, and never question it. So to me, it's a highlight just to have a spiritually oriented movement that actually takes it seriously and promotes it, has me come there and give them to talk and spread these messages to a bunch of people. And it's very healing, I think, on a deep level when people do this. They start to make major transformations. So the big highlight, I think, was at the end, I was able to give World Peace Diet Facilitator certificates to people who attended, and they will be going forth also to spread the World Peace Diet message, which is really basically the vegan message of compassion for all life in their communities in various ways. And I think that's something to really celebrate.
I'd like to introduce my mom. She would like to say something.
Great. Yes, I'll just have your mother there.
Hi, Dr. Tuttle. My name's Susan, and
Hi, Susan.
I've listened to your audiobook several times, The World Peace Diet, and I actually at one point had purchased about a dozen copies, and I was giving them out as gifts for people who seemed genuinely interested in veganism as a lifestyle as far as the dietary end of it. But we do talk, Kevin and I do talk about the spiritual aspect of like maintaining a more peaceful personal habits, mannerisms, as far as avoiding the violence that is involved not just in factory farming, but in killing any animal or using them in any way. So that's one of the main reasons when he and I started talking about having you on as a guest is I wanted him to get a deeper understanding even at 12 of what the changes that a person goes through when they abstain from violent actions towards others. They do become more peaceful within themselves, and he sees people who have a more violent lifestyle as people you just can't really talk to because they don't quite understand what's going on in the world yet.
Right. Well, I think everything you're saying is absolutely important and true. We have to realize that our violence towards animals, on so many levels, is devastating to our own inner peace. Besides creating a literal war against animals, I mean, we're killing 75 million animals every day just in the United States by a conservative estimate, and just to have that massive industrialized killing machine just going on relentlessly, routinely, and it's only happening because people like you and I, people, the citizens of the country are going to the stores and voting for it every day, taking out their wallets and paying for someone somewhere to stab an animal and to steal the babies from the animals and do all the terrible things that they're doing for food and, like you say, for leather, for silk, for entertainment, for research, for a whole variety of ways. And we, the people, in order to do that, have to have a certain mentality. We have to have a way of thinking that makes us do that. That makes us get up in the morning, and not that we're bad, evil people, thinking how can we harm animals or other people. We don't think that way. We think, I'm going to eat some bacon this morning because that's what my mother fed me when I was a kid. We just do what we've been told. It's basically just following orders, but it numbs us. We're numb as a society and disconnected from our natural wisdom and compassion. And so it's almost like we're in a hypnotic trance and we don't know what we're doing. And going vegan is kind of like a waking out of a hypnotic trance, waking out of the culturally programmed violence and actually matured spiritually, you've opened your heart, you've clarified your mind, you've increased your morals and ethics, and you're acting in a more responsible kind, and appropriate way, they start saying, well, what's wrong with you? You're really a jerk. You're you won't eat what we're eating, and so we get to the opposite. And I think that's the real test of our character, is how we can respond to the situation. The first test is how do we respond to this killing of 75 million animals every day for food. And once we realize that's happening, what do we do? How do we respond? I think that's the first test of our character. Do we just go along with it and be like everybody else and pay people to stab animals and eat their flesh and feed it to our children and so forth? Or do we do something else? How do we respond to that? And then, of course, after we go vegan or move in that direction more and more, then the next thing comes up. Well, we're living in a non-vegan world, and people don't like it that we're questioning this. So how do we respond to that? And these are all enormous opportunities for us to grow morally and spiritually, I think. And that's, I think, the biggest challenge. But I feel confident that the changes will happen. It's just a matter of time, I think. But it's important that it happen soon, because I think the time is really critical right now.
I'd like to introduce my friend John. He would like to ask you a question.
Oh, sure.
Hello, Dr. Tuttle.
Yes, hello, John.
Hey, 1 week when we were at the Veggie Pride Parade, we saw a sign saying it's like really creepy how people eat like cows and pigs but then pet dogs and cats.
It's really creepy. Could you repeat it a little louder? I'm having a hard time hearing you. A little creepy how at the Veggie Pride Parade, I heard that part. But then,
Yeah, like there was one of the signs that said it's creepy how people eat eat like cows and pigs but then pet cats and dogs.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, is that your question?
Yeah. Like, what do you feel about that?
Well, that's it. I mean, that's exactly the whole point. We are taught, to, and really our whole society teaches us to be kind and loving to certain animals, if we consider them our pets, not pull their tail or not, hurt them, be loving to them. But then when it comes to other animals, like pigs and cows and chickens and ducks and so forth that we're using for food, we do the most horrible things to them routinely, including killing them and eating them. And we don't think that there's anything wrong with that. And I think it exposes, in a sense, it shows that we have a deep split in our feelings and thinking about animals. We recognize that dogs and cats, for example, have feelings, that they don't like it if we don't feed them, or they don't like it if we lock them in a closet in the dark or whatever and hurt them. They would hate that. But, we resonate, we feel for their feelings. We have a sense of compassion. And if someone tried to do that, we would immediately try to prevent them from harming them. But and we know also that pigs and cows and chickens have the same capacity to feel pain. They're not any different. They're exactly the same. They're mammals just like we are, and birds, and have a complex nervous system like we do. But we're raised in a society that teaches us something that's really not in our best interest, that it's okay to do this. And if we do it, we can eat their flesh, and God allows it, something like that. If God wants us to do that, or this is just how it is. And when we think that, I think it kills part of our basic sanity, and it kills a very important part of our natural compassion. And so I think the best thing anyone can do is to just try to question this kind of split, and not make it, and see that all animals have feelings, just like we do. I hope that helps.
Dr. Tuttle, John's schoolmate of Kevin's, and they're the same age. He's not vegan yet, but he did see the Meet Your Meat video and a couple other things, and we've been taking him to different places so he can meet vegan people and other kids, and we talked to him a lot about it, and his brother, Watching that transition of like he's becoming willing to not cause harm to any other animals, but if he doesn't live in a home where they believe that it's necessary, so he has some pretty typical difficulties dealing with his family that I hear from adults. So I'm not used to hearing it from a kid's point of view. And I wanted him to be able to ask you what he could do to kind of help his family along.
Right. Well, the most important thing, I think, is to realize, not to be really upset in a sense. I mean, not to blame one's family members or to think that they're doing the wrong thing or bad or evil, but to understand that this whole way of living, of killing animals for food, owning them as property, and mutilating their bodies and then stabbing them, killing them, and so forth, that this whole terrible system is just passed down from generation to generation. We learn it from our parents. I ate meat because my mother and father taught me to eat meat and dairy. That's why I did it. The only reason I did it was because my community, my family and the community around me, that's what we all did. So that's what I did. I was just born into it. And so just understand that they were, your parents were born into it by your grandparents taught them what to do, and your great-grandparents taught your grandparents. It's gone down through the generations for about maybe 8,000 years or so. And it's a pretty long time, but not a very long time. It's a certain set time we started herding animals as human beings, owning them as property for food. So it's a tradition in a sense, but it's a very devastating tradition, and especially today when if we keep doing that, we're going to, people are starving because we're feeding most of the grain to animals. The animals are suffering, the environment's getting destroyed. It's like an old bad habit that we don't need to have anymore. So I think the best thing we can do in these situations is to just try to educate our parents if they will be open to it. Like you've been learning, just to learn about it. That's the only thing, just to be an example. We can all be healthy. I've been a vegan now since 1980. It's 33 years, and I'm extremely healthy. My wife also, very healthy, and vegans in general have far lower rates of all the diseases. We're much healthier in general, so you don't need animal protein to be healthy. Absolutely not. In fact, you're much healthier without it. So just maybe if they can read, if you can help them read, if you can help them see videos, or just understand, and don't take it personally, and do the best you can to be a happy, healthy person yourself, eating a plant-based diet. That's the best example anyone can be, I think.
How did you meet your wife?
I met her in Switzerland. I was traveling over there. I went to Russia to do peace concerts back when we were they were the enemy, and we were having nuclear war people were worried about. And I played concerts. I'm a pianist and played concerts in Russia for peace. And then I went to Germany and France, Switzerland, Italy, other countries. And I met Madeline in Switzerland playing the piano. And she actually fell in love with my music, which was kind of interesting. And then a few years, about a year and a half later, I needed an artist to make the cover for my first CD. This is way back in 1990. And Madeline said, I'll come over and I'll make the cover for you. And so she came over from Switzerland. We fell in love and got married. That was 20 years ago. And she's been a vegan also for a long time, which was really interesting.
You and your wife RV, if you're with her 24/7, what do you guys disagree on, and how do you deal with the conflict?
Well, one of the things I found, I think when you're vegans, there's less conflict. It doesn't mean there's no conflict, but there's definitely a lot of conflict. A lot less conflict. I've talked to people who say that when they were eating meat and dairy, they were fighting a lot. But when they gave up meat and dairy together, when they really give it up together and they understand why, then there's a lot more harmony in the family. And living in a tiny, tiny, tiny state like we, for 17 years, it really is good practice, And so the most important thing I think is being vegan, which means not eating animal foods, but it also means kindness and compassion compassion for all animals, and we human beings we're also animals. So having kindness and compassion for everyone, including, Madeline, and so if I do something that hurts her feelings, to make sure I apologize and tell them I'm sorry and try to do better next time, and be kind and loving in relationships with others and not judgmental. And I think that lays the foundation for greater harmony in one's own life eventually. We've all been programmed by our society to be righteous, to be sort of, I'm right, you're wrong. And that whole thing, I'm right and you're wrong, that creates endless suffering. So to try to see from the other point of view, the other person's point of view, to try to see from, that's what we do with animals, we try to see from the chicken's point of view and the turkey's point of view, and then we can say, oh, I'm not going to eat chicken and turkey anymore, because I'm seeing from their point of view. And then when we do it with the people in our family, we can say, all right, I can see from your point of view. And then we can have a good conversation and not have a fight.
Go ahead.
Of all the places you've spoken at, what is your favorite?
Of all the places I've spoken at, what was my favorite? Well, actually, I would say, one of my, I have a couple of ones that stick out in my mind as being favorite because they were in other countries. When I go, I love speaking in the United States, which is what I mostly do. But going and speaking in England and Italy, we're heading actually in a couple of months to Slovenia and Croatia. I'm really looking forward to that. Speaking in Canada, in Ecuador.